Good evening, everyone. Am I audible properly? Okay. Uh, let's start the session for today. First of all, can everyone clear me that is everything clear? Whatever I taught till yesterday, or I need to explain something else? Is it clear now? Okay. So everything clear till yesterday. Whatever I taught, I need to explain something else once again. Okay. What about you, Durga? Okay. What about you, Nyab? Okay. Okay, so today, till yesterday, what we saw the EM. Okay, what was EM? Today, we are going to see what problem do we face when we use EM. Okay, the EM measurement. So in the EM measurement, what problem we see is, let me show you visually. This is a document, okay, and let's add here a div which will be parent. Okay, this is a parent div. Yes. Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. Is it visible now? Okay, so this is the basic. Pardon me. Okay, so this is the basic div. Okay, I create a div with class name parent. Okay, and inside this I'll create one more class, sorry, div with class as child. Okay, this will be 24 pixels. Okay, inside this child div I'll create a grandchild. Okay, div dot grandchild. This is the grandchild, which will be 36 pixels. Okay, and inside this div we'll create a great grandchild, which will be 54 pixels, not 48, 54. Okay, problem is EM units compound. Okay, they stack up and get bigger. Okay, so let me show you by using some styles. We'll give the parent element font size, not padding. We'll give the parent a font size of 16 pixels, and child will be 1.5 EM. Okay, and then the grandchild will also be 1.5 EM. Okay, also the great grandchild will be 1.5 EM. Okay, now what is the problem here? The parent was 16 pixels. Okay, child became 1.5 EM. According to 1.5 EM, the child will be 1.5 into 16 pixels, that will be 24 pixels. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so this is 24 pixels. Okay, but if we want that the grandchild, 1 second. Okay, so where were we? Yeah, here. See, the parent is font size 16 pixels. Okay, now we want that the child, grandchild and great grandchild should also be 1.5 EM. Okay, assume this is 1 EM. Okay, 1 EM, 16 pixels. Okay, what we want here, that if we give 1.5 EM in the child, in the grandchild, in the great grandchild, that won't be 1.5 EM. Okay, because the em depends on its parent's element. Okay, what will happen here, the child will be 24 pixels, 1.5 into 16 pixels, that will be 24 pixels. Okay, so if we give the same 1.5 em, if you want that the grandchild and great grandchild should be 1.5 em, that won't happen. Okay, what we want is the great grandchild and great grandchild should be 24 pixels. Okay, but that won't happen using m. Why? Because the m depends on its upper element or the parent element. Okay, the grandchild's parent element is the child. Okay, so what will happen here, the 1.5 em will become 1.5 em will be 1.5 em into 24 pixels, that will be 36 pixel. Okay, and the great grandchild it would be 54 pixels. Okay, so this is the problem with em. Okay, we wanted that grandchild and great grandchild should be 24 pixels, but this grandchild took the font size of this child, okay, and multiplied with 1.5 and it became 36 pixels. Okay, and same with this one. So this was the problem with em. Okay, so basically they compound. Okay, em units compound, they stack up and get bigger and bigger. Okay, so actually when to use em units? Okay, it is perfect when creating components that scale together. Okay, for example, I showed you yesterday the button example, em usage, not this one, perfect usage of em. Okay, so here what happens, all buttons basically maintain perfect proportion. Okay, each and every button has the same size. Okay, let us focus here what is happening here actually. So we first created two buttons. Okay, small button, button small, button medium, button large. Okay, these are three buttons. We gave simply them class names. Okay, one was button small, one was button medium, and one was button large. Okay, additionally we gave them one more class of button. Okay, what we passed in the button, the font size is 1 em, that is 16 pixels. 16 pixels. Okay, not like this, not like this, it was 16 pixels. Okay, padding we passed as 0.75 em and 1.5 em. Okay, so what will be 0.75 em? Let's see, let's analyze that also. 0.75 em into base font size, that is 16 pixels, will be 12 pixels. Okay, this will be uh, horizontal. Okay, sorry, the vertical padding. Okay, and this will be the horizontal padding. So the horizontal padding we are giving as 1.5 em, that is 24 pixels. Okay, now border also we are giving as in em. Okay, so 1 em is 0.1 em is 1.6 pixels. Okay, this is a small border basically. Border radius also we are giving in em. Okay, means 0.25 em into 16 pixels, that is 4 pixels. Okay, margin also we are giving as 0.5 em, that is 8 pixels. Okay, so see what is happening here, each and every button is gradually increasing its size. Okay, here we can use this button, here we can use the em. Okay, because what we want that the gradually the size increases. Okay, as per its parent element. Okay, so this was the thing. Okay, font size 14 pixels, then again we wanted font size as 16 pixels, 1 em is 16 pixels. Okay, what we did here, we can do here is 0.8 em. It will still be the same, 0.87 em, that is 14 pixels. Okay, then we wanted 16 pixels, 1 em. Then we wanted the large button to be 1.25 em, that is 20 pixels. Okay, so that is 20 pixels. Okay, so the nature here is each button should gradually increase its size. Okay, which is increasing. Okay, so this is the perfect use of em. Next we skip to rem. Let's copy this note here, and where is the rem? Let's copy this rem. Okay, so simple rule of rem also is 1 rem equal to root elements font size, that is 16 pixels. What is the default font size? 16 pixels. Okay, key difference from m here is m is based on current element. Okay, m is based on current element. Rem is based on root. Okay, root means the thing which I showed you all, this one. Okay, whatever size is defined here, the rem takes this size and multiplies. Okay, HTML element. Also rem never stacks. Okay, rem never stacks. The problem we were facing here, like the stacking problem, the it got stacked, it got multiplied on the base of parent element. This won't happen here in rem. Okay, so the basic use of rem, let's see. Basic use of rem. Basic rem example .html. Okay, here we'll take a div which will be rem container, and the container will be 32 pixels. Okay, font 16 pixels and padding. Okay, 16 pixels. So this is a container which of which font size will be 32 pixels and padding will be 16 pixels. Okay, inside this we'll give div dot rem child. Okay, the child will have 24 pixels of font and 16 pixels of padding again. Then we'll give a rem grandchild. Okay, let's add a closing div tag also. It's added. Grandchild will have 16 pixels of font and 16 pixel of padding. Okay, so now let's give a style and actually add the styling. So here in the HTML tag, okay, in the starting, remember I told you that we can define anything either in root, either in body or in HTML. Okay, which will be globally applicable in each and every element. Okay, font size will be 16 pixels globally. Okay, so font size is 16 pixels globally. Okay, we define that in HTML tag. See here, this is the HTML tag, and for this we define the style as font size 16 pixels. Okay, so this means whatever is inside this HTML tag, the font size 16 pixels will be applicable there. Okay, now let's move to the next part. Actually understand the rem. Now let's understand the rem container. What is rem container? Inside this we'll pass the font size as 2rem. Okay, now what will be 2rem here? 2rem will always be 32 pixels. Okay, padding of 1rem and background. Wait a second, let me explain you all. This 2rem, where is it coming from? The basic font size is 16 pixels, so same as em, we are doing 2 into font size, that is 32 pixels. Okay, 2 into font size 32 pixels. So what is this based on? This is based on the root element. Okay, basically the HTML element we are depending on. Okay, this is 16 pixels 1rem. Okay, 1rem is obviously 16 pixels. Okay, 2rem is 32 pixels. Let's talk about the margin. 0.5 rem, that will be 8 pixels. Okay, what is the half of 16? 8 obviously. Okay, next we define the rem child. Font size here will be 1.5 rem. Okay, that will be 24 pixels. 1.5 into 16 is 24 pixels. Okay, padding 1 rem. Okay, that is 16 pixel as it was. Background, we gave some random background. Okay, and we don't need a margin here. Next we have a grandchild, rem grandchild, in which we give font size of 1 rem, padding of 1 rem, and background color light coral. Okay, so these are unchanged. Okay, the same thing we did in em. Okay, what was happening? The em was dependent on its above component. Okay, or the tag. Okay, so what was happening? It was stacking. Okay, multiplying as per the above HTML. Sorry, the above tag. Okay, above div tag. Now here what is happening? It is multiplying as same as m, but how is it multiplying? On the basis of the HTML tag. Okay, on whatever we defined in the HTML. Okay, so here we don't get the stacking problem. Okay, open with live server. See here. Okay, whatever we want we are getting here. Okay, it's not stacking as on the basis of its above parent element. Okay, so we can use rem here. Okay, let's do a rem versus m comparison. Rem versus m .html. So can anyone tell me, if I want to use rem here, first of all what will I do? What will I define here? If I want to use rem here, what will I define here in the style tag? Anyone? Okay, so if I want to use rem here, first of all, the very first thing I will do, I will declare a style tag. Okay, and then inside the HTML I will define the font size of 16 pixels. Okay, the base font size, whatever I want to keep. If I want to keep it as 20 pixels, I will keep 20 pixels here. Okay, currently I am leaving it as the default font size, that is 16 pixels. Okay, now first let's create the basic structure here side by side. Okay, inside this, first of all, we'll create a div named comparison. Okay, Inside this we'll create a div called mExample, emExample. Okay, one more div we will create, which will be remExample. Div dot rem example. Okay, I created a outer container, okay, named as comparison. Inside that I created two divs. Okay, one was emExample, another was remExample. Okay, inside the emExample I give the heading as h3 em example, which are compounds with stack, okay, as per the parent element. And we'll give a div with em parent class. Okay, parent gets bigger. Okay, also the child will get bigger. Child gets even bigger, which of course we don't want, right? So first let's style the em. Okay, we'll give comparison comparison. We are currently styling this class, the outer container, okay, which holds both the rem and mExample. Okay, this one. Is there any indexing error? No. Okay, so we are styling this class, okay, the outer one. What we'll do, we'll simply say here display flex, we'll make it a flex box, and we'll give a gap between rem and m, okay, using the rem only, not gap. Okay, one thing I would like to ask, is everything clear whatever I'm explaining, or shall I re-explain something? Those who are present here, I need active response. Rem, okay. Once again explaining the rem. First let's look at this example, this comparison example, which will help us understand the difference between what is rem and what is m. Okay, see what we are doing here, we are creating two boxes. Okay, understand that one second. We are creating here an outer box, okay, which is this comparison. Okay, and inside this outer box we are creating two more boxes. Okay, one is for this mExample, one is mExample, okay, and the other one is remExample. Okay, this comparison is the outer box, this one, this mExample is this box, and this remExample is this one. Okay, so what we will do here is, see we have two texts here. Okay, three texts actually. One is h3, okay, another one is div, okay, another one is also a div. There are two divs. Okay, parent gets bigger, child gets bigger. Currently we don't have any styles applied to this. Okay, so these are appearing as equal. Okay, equal font size are there. Okay, once we apply the class in em, okay, see what will happen. See the uh, behavior of this. Okay, dot em example. Okay, border will be 1px solid black. Okay, see the border applied. Padding we give in 1 rem, which means 1 rem means 16 pixels. Okay, where is this rem dependent on? This rem is dependent on this one. Okay, we need to define a default font size. Okay, otherwise it will take the default font size on its own, that is 16 pixels. Okay, if we have some different font size, then we can define it here 18 pixels. Okay, if we don't define this HTML tag, it will automatically take 16 pixels. Okay, next let's give the width of the box as 300 pixels. Okay, see this box expanded. Now this box took 300 pixels as width. Okay, the internal spacing means whatever element was inside it, the spacing took internally of 1 rem, that is 16 pixels. 16 pixels from this side, and from down, and from the right also. Okay, for the border simply we gave a 1px means 1 pixel solid black color. Okay, now border are of many types, like dotted. See, this is a dotted border. Okay, I explained you all this in previous classes. Okay, now let's actually compare the em parent. We declare the font size as 1.2 em. Okay, that is 21.6 pixels. See, this one got bigger. Okay, 1.2 into 18 pixels is equal to 21.6 pixels. Now what is this em dependent on? On its above elements font size. Okay, so if we see here, if we zoom out here, this em parent, this is the child of this h3 or the div. Okay, so what is the default font size of this h3 or div? Sorry, this is the child of em example. Okay, so what is the default font size here in the em example, which we didn't declare? In fact, it is font size 18 pixels. Okay, so the em parent took the default font size of em example 18 pixels and multiplied it with 1.2. Okay, and became 21.6 pixels, this one. Okay, 21.6 pixel. Okay, let's move to the inner child. Okay, so this is the container. This is the container, or let's say the comparison div. Okay, this one is the em example div. Okay, and this one is the em parent div. Okay, and inside this we created one more div. Okay, which was em child. This was em child. Okay, so we created how many boxes inside? 1 2, 3 and 4. Okay, so according to this, in the em comparison div, what was the font size here? Font size was let's edit this one only. Here the font size was by default 16 pixels. Okay, in the em example, here also the font size was 16 pixels. Sorry, the 18 pixels I have defined now. 18 pixels. 18 pixels. Here also it was 18 pixels. In the parent, what happened in the em parent, we defined the font size as 1.2 em. Okay, what happened here? 1.2 em means, what does it mean? 1.2 into default font size, which came as 1.2 into default font size, what it was, 18 pixels. Okay, which came out as, if you multiply 1.2 into 18, that will be 21.6 pixels. Okay, so this is the thing. Okay, is it clearly visible? Okay, so next, in the em child, okay, means in the innermost container, this one, basically this one. Okay, the em child, we are going to define the font size same as the above, the em parent. Okay, what we want is whatever the font size is of this one, we want that it takes the same font size. Okay, means if it is 21.6 pixels, we want this one also to be 21.6 pixels. So what we're going to do is use 1.2 em, right? So by default, what we want, if we use 1.2 em, it should take 21.6 pixels. Okay, but that won't happen. Okay, if we use 1.2 em here, okay, what will happen? See, this one gets more bigger than its parent also. Okay, what happened here is this em child took the font size of its parent, means the div which was outside of it. Okay, this one, this div. Okay, this one. Now what was the default font size of this one, the outer div? It was 21.6 pixel. Okay, so by default, what would happen here is, sorry, expand the screen. So here by default, what will happen is, if we give the font size is 1.2 em, we wanted the font size to be 21.6 pixel, but what will happen here, we will get 1.2 into parent font size which will be, what is the parent font size? Can anyone tell me the em child's parent font size?
21.6.
Correct. So the em child's font size won't be 21.6 pixel, it would multiply according to the em parent's font size, em parent's font size, which is 21.6 pixel. Okay, which will be stacked. Okay, what is the font size we are getting here? Font size we are getting here is 25.92 pixels. Okay, 25.92 pixels, which is more bigger than its parent. Okay, we don't want that. Okay, we don't want that behavior. So for avoiding this, we use rem. Now let's focus on rem. This was about m. Okay, sorry. This was about m. Now let's focus on rem. In the rem, first let's create the rem also. And the rem also will create the same thing which we created in the m. Okay, let's copy this one and simply change the class name only. Okay, here in the rem example there is no compounding. Okay, this is the rem parent, this is the rem child. Okay, now let's see here. First let's design the boxes which we created here. This is the outermost box, which is the comparison box. Okay, which is by default how much pixels? 18 pixels. Okay, then we have a rem example. Okay, same as m example, which is this one. Let me mark it for better understanding. This one is rem example. Okay, how much pixel does it contain? It contains rem example, which will be one second. We'll give the same classes to rem example also. Rem example. See, the same classes we gave to the rem example also for just creating the box. Okay, currently we are not comparing the rem or m, just we are creating this box. Okay, so that we understand how exactly this is working. Okay, so we gave rem example some border, gave some padding and some width. Okay, however currently the rem example currently has 18 pixel of font size. Okay, nothing changed here, right? We didn't define the font size, so it was by default 18 pixels. Okay, now inside this we have rem parent. Okay, in the rem parent we give a font size same as m. Okay, what we gave in m? 1.2 em. Now see here the magic. Okay, this was the rem example. We created a rem parent. Let's create a rem parent here also. This is the rem parent. Rem parent. Okay, in the rem parent, see how it will multiply using the HTML tag. Okay, the HTML styling which we gave, okay, by default, which was 18 pixels. Okay, till here it is same as what we call that, em. Okay, whatever was happening in em, it is same. See, 1.2 into 1.2 into rem, actually we need to give here now. 1.2 rem, 1.2 into 18 pixels, that will be 21.6 pixels. Okay, what is happening here? 1.2 into rem example font size, and let's evaluate it. 1.2 into rem example font size was 18 pixels, so 1.2 into 18 pixels, that will be our 21.6 pixels. 21.6 pixels. Okay, till here we got the same thing in the em also. Okay, see here 21.6 pixels. Okay, but the thing was, after this it was misbehaving. Okay, in the em child. So let's create our rem child also. We have created here the rem child. Okay, and here we gave the font size same as rem child. Okay, one second, what did I do here? Sorry. Okay, AI already did it. So okay, so in the rem child also we gave the font size is 1.2 rem. Okay, let's create the internal box also. Oops. Here rem child will be 1.2 into not rem example font size but the root element HTML font size or the rem example font size. Okay, so we defined in the HTML what we defined, it was 18 pixels. Okay, so HTML font size, let's visualize it, 1.2 into 18 pixels, which will be same as 21.6 pixels. Okay, see, both the parent and child have the same font size. Okay, but here using em we stack up the element. Okay, and this one gets more bigger, the child gets more bigger than its parent. Okay, so this is the basic comparison of rem and m. Is rem and m clear to everyone, or shall I re-explain in simple terms? Okay, so see here, this is the best example for explaining. See, I have a outer container. Okay, this one is my outer container. Okay, and before that let me write some things. In HTML the default font size is 16 pixels. Okay, but currently I overrided that and defined the font size as 18 pixels. Okay, so currently globally what is the default font size? 18 pixels. Okay, clear till this one? Base font size is 18 pixels. Okay, so m and rem will behave accordingly. Okay, see, this is the, we have created two boxes. Okay, two small boxes inside a bigger box. One we have named as em parent, em example. Okay, and another we have named as rem example. Okay, and we haven't mentioned any font sizes here. Okay, so by default what will be the font size here? By default the font size will be 18 pixels. Here also by default the font size will be 18 pixels. Okay, next we created two parent boxes. Okay, inside the example box. Okay, this one is the parent box, this one. Okay, one we named as em parent, another we named as rem parent. Okay, now inside this we added some text. Okay, inside the parent, see, parent gets bigger, and inside this rem example, parent 18 pixels. Okay, see what is happening here in em parent. Em parent is currently 1.2 em of font size. Okay, we declared the font size in em parent as 1.2 em. Okay, so what does em depend on its outermost element. Okay, means the em parent is dependent on em example. Okay, so what is the font size in em example? 18 pixels. Okay, so how will it multiply? 1.2 into outermost element's font size, which will be 1.2 into 18, that is 21.6 pixels. Now see, what I want here in HTML is, or by default the behavior should be that the parent should be bigger and the child should be smaller, right? But what is happening here, the parent is 21.6 pixel. Okay, and when we create one more box inside the parent, that is the child element, and we define that also as 1.2 em. Okay, it multiplies according to the outermost element, means the parent's font size. Okay, what is the parent font size now? 21.6 pixels. Okay, so this will stack up. Okay, this is stacking. Okay, it's getting on the top of the parent and taking the parent's default font size, that is 21.6 pixels, and it's becoming 25.92 pixels. Okay, but in rem this doesn't happen. Rem is independent of its parent font size. Okay, rem depends on rem depends on either the default font size or mostly in the font size defined in HTML tag, HTML style. Okay, so what we did here, we defined the font size as 18 pixels here in HTML. Okay, so what is happening here in the rem, in the outermost element, if we write something here, basically we have written here, I guess, h3. Okay, so this h3 is currently 18 pixels. Okay, and then inside this we have em parent and this text. Okay, this one sorry, this one, parent 18 pixels. Okay, so inside the rem parent, we defined the font size is 1.2 em. Okay, so the rem parent 1.2 em will multiply according to the HTML font size. Okay, sorry, HTML font size. Okay, what was the HTML font size by default? 18 pixels, defined by me. Okay, 1.2 into 18 pixels, that will be 21.6 pixels. Okay, and its innermost child also, it will also multiply not according to its outermost element but according to the default font size. Okay, 1.2 into 18 pixels, that will be 21.6 pixels. Okay, so that means that the parent and child both will have the same font size. Okay, which we wanted. But in case of em, the inner child got multiplied according to its outermost element. Okay, this was the basic difference. You can understand this as this em is dependent on its outermost element's font size. Okay, and the rem is dependent on the default font size which we declared previously in HTML. Okay, this is the basic difference between the rem and em. Furthermore, you will understand this when you once you all start doing some projects. Okay, currently I don't think so theory will help you all much. Okay, once you all try this on your own, then it will be far more clear. I will drop this repository's link. Okay, you all can study this once. Okay, and try it on your own, then you all will get a better understanding. Next, we have percentage units. Okay, we have percentage units dot html. Percentage units. What are percentage units? Percentage are always relative to the parent element, same as em. Okay, whatever the parent is, okay, the percentage will be dependent on its parent. Okay, let's say for example, let's say we have a div. Okay, we have a div. Let's write inline css. Internal css taking a lot of time. So currently we have a div whose width is 200 pixels and height is 200 pixels. Okay, the background color is red. Okay, this is our basic box. Okay, whose width is 200 pixel, height is 200 pixel, background color is red. Okay, so let's make it black. Okay, Now let's add a padding also, padding of 20 pixels. Okay, so it became more bigger, not black, let's keep it light gray, some light color, light gray, light gray, light gray, light gray. Okay, so this is our box. Everyone can see this box. Okay, so this is the basic CSS we created. Okay, div, inside this we gave a width of our 200 pixels, height of 200 pixels, background color of light gray, and a padding internal spacing of 20 pixels, that is the padding. Okay, next we gave a div, we create a div actually with a class name of half width. Okay, and in this div we'll write I am 50% wide. Okay, I'm 50% wide, and we will use percentage, okay, to give it 50% of the width of this div. Okay, outermost div, which is 200 pixels, will give 50% of the 200 pixels to this internal half width div. Okay, so how will we do it? Let's again use inline CSS only, because also in internal CSS we write the same thing. Okay, nothing changes. Okay, so we gave width of 50%. Okay, so how do we visualize it? We visualize and height also. Let's not give it the height, let's leave the height. Let's give a background of light blue so that we can visualize, see, and give the margin bottom of 10 pixels. Okay, so this div is currently taking 50% of the width. Okay, means it's taking the 50% of its parent container. What is the width of the parent container? It is 200 pixels. Okay, and this div is taking 50% of the 200 width. Okay, that is approx 100 pixels. Okay, this is taking 100 pixels. Okay, actually it won't support comments here. This bottom div will take 50% of the parent's width. Okay, that is 100 pixels. Okay, that is the basic maths. Okay, so width is 100 pixels here. Next we create another div of quarter width. Okay, div dot quarter width. May I know what is the percentage if we use quarter? Anyone? Quarter width, what will be the percentage? It will be 25%. Okay, 25% wide. So see, these three divs will be 25% wide. Okay, now let's use the styling actually, because we need to style multiple divs. So inside the quarter width we'll give width of 25%. Okay, so now you see it's taking 25% of the width. Okay, now you might be assuming that why is it leaving this space? Because we gave the padding here. Okay, we remove the padding, see, it's taking 25% of the width. Okay, if I want it to be 75%, it will be 75%. How will that be possible? That will be 75 width. What am I missing? Okay, we can't have numbers. Okay, 75 width. Okay, so see, this is taking 75% of the width. Okay, same we can do for the height. Now what exactly, where exactly is this width coming from? This width is coming from this uppermost div, the parent div. Okay, this parent div is containing all the child divs. Okay, so this is the logic through which you all can create a progress bar. Okay, everyone knows what is a progress bar. Everyone sees a progress loader, like loading 50%, 100%. Yes, so this is how you can create a progress bar also. Okay, so I give you all today's task. You need to create a progress bar. Okay, a beautiful progress bar. Okay, I'll add some notes here. Okay, let me explain you quickly. Percentage. So what is the basic logic of percentage? Percentage is always relative to its parent element. You can understand its behavior same as em. Okay, it behaves same as em. Okay, and the width and height is of course of parent's width height. Okay, so what I'm saying here is, basically, if we are defining width and height of a child element, it will basically take the width and height from parent element. Okay, like I showed you all just now. Okay, here the parent element's width was 200 pixels. Okay, and here we defined the internal child's width as 50%. So where of what, 50% of what? 50% of its parent element. Okay, this is the parent element, 200 pixels, so 50% of 200 pixels, that will be 100 pixels. Okay, if we define the font size, again in case of font size also, percentage of parent's font size. Okay, if we define the margin or padding, it will be parent's widths. Okay, percentage of parent's width. Okay, so this is what percentage is. Okay, percentage is dependent on its above element. Okay, everyone clear with percentage? Who else is there? Okay, great. So I will share the repository. Okay, you can go with all the projects which we did here. Okay, so was the voice clear for today? Was I too fast? Was I too fast? Was I too fast today? Okay, great. So let's meet tomorrow. Study. Okay, review all this. I'll share the material. Thank you.